Welcome to Who Wrote That Up For You, a daily podcast that shines a light on the American justice system and its role in empowering the powerful to take from you. The justice system is the only branch of your government where an individual, rather than the collective, can make the system act for you. It puts power in the individual's hands, but it's broken and being used against you at a time when you need it most.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Who Wrote That Up For You. Today is Thursday, December 15th, 2022. As you all know, we've stepped back off the cliff of a daily podcast and are trying to get them recorded and distribute them as we can. So happy to be here with our guest for today. I am Sonia Ebring, co-founder at Courtroom 5.
And I'm Deborah Sloan, the other co-founder at Courtroom 5.
Let me tell you about our exciting lineup today. First, in a few moments, we will speak with Ken Friedman. Ken is the General Counsel and Chief Industry Officer at Divorce.com. He's also, fortunately for us, the chair of Courtroom 5's advisory board. So we'll have some interesting conversation with Ken there. A little later in the show, we will speak with Timothy M. Brown. Timothy is the chief executive at Catch a Case, LLC, and they are building a wonderful app just to provide some legal information and help people find attorneys when they need them most. Citizen HQ is the name of that app, and so we will find out about the development of that and just what Timothy's vision is for it. Before we get there, though, Deborah, what's on your mind today?
What's on my mind is that the state of New York, the governor of the state of New York has a legislation on her desk called the Grieving Families Act, which basically is a statute, a wrongful death statute that basically increases the amount of damages that families can get in a wrongful death. And she's being just bombarded by multiple parties, the counties, the citizens groups, the of course the personal injury bar, and basically the argument is from the counties is that the public is being made or taxpayers are being made to be a piggy bank to make individuals whole again, and I feel like this is come and um, I feel as if this is coming from the thought that we don't want a whole bunch of people basically coming through the courts trying to get a bunch of money, and it's going to cost the counties and the cities a whole lot to have this bill pass. But I think it's a good thing because a lot of other counties and states are going in the complete opposite direction. That they want to limit the amount of award that a person can get in a personal injury or yeah, in a wrongful death case, and so I'm just looking at this as just a real challenge to the courts and challenge to the state of New York. I hope she does the right thing, but it's a very interesting thing to be faced with at this point.
It is. I appreciate you bringing that up. It's always been, and this is completely outside the point you're making there. So I think you're right. I agree with what you're saying. But it's always interesting to me that we have three branches of government, and here's a governor, and a legislature, and folks all up in the court's business and deciding how these things ought to be decided. It's just the weirdest thing to me. That's not, in any sense, co-equal
Right,
branch to me.
right.
It's just really bizarre how that works. But yeah, let's all hope she does the right thing there as well. All right. Well, let me just say before we get started, Courtroom 5, we believe the courts belong to the people, in particular to the people who use them. And we, the people, are coming to claim our courts. So if you are in court without a lawyer, or you need to sue someone and can't find a lawyer to represent you, get yourself over to courtroom5.com. Try a limited version of our services for free, and we hope to provide some relief for you there. At this time, it is my great pleasure to welcome onto the show Ken Friedman. Ken, again, is general counsel at divorce.com and the chief industry officer there. And welcome to the show, Ken. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Fantastic. And so, Ken, just if you would share with our audience your background and what got you interested in being the chief industry officer at divorce.com.
Happy to. So I started the way many lawyers do. I graduated from law school. I went to work at a large international law firm. I was on the litigation side of the house and did it for a long time, a decade, give or take. But I never loved it. Practicing, it was a great education. It was great training, but it wasn't fulfilling in the way that I had hoped. So after doing that for a while, one of the things that I'd spent a lot of time working on was consumer class action defense. And that actually segued nicely to a day when I spoke to the folks at LegalZoom. Obviously, LegalZoom is one of the pioneers in the legal tech, self-help style industry. And early on, the industry didn't really like that LegalZoom was there. Maybe the industry still doesn't like that LegalZoom's there. And they had some massive class actions filed against them. We're getting attacked left and right. So I came in to help sort of get LegalZoom out of that trouble. And obviously it was successful. We, at one point we did sue a state bar, which was not something that we were particularly happy that we felt the need to do. And we got past a lot of those attacks. So I went on to work with things, helping to expand what legal tech could do. We worked very hard on the electronic wills sort of concept that went on to become an act by the Uniform Law Commission, which was very exciting and is now passed in a few states. So I was with LegalZoom for a long time, helped that company grow, and then decided to take some time off and figured out what I was going to do next. And I really thought that was going to be leaving legal tech entirely. And then it took me about 3 weeks and a call from you, Sonia, as well as several others, to realize that I didn't want to leave legal tech. I was still very passionate about it. I just needed a little bit of a break. So I started advising folks like you guys, and which has been incredibly rewarding, and got to know the folks at what would become divorce.com. And, family law is an incredibly important area. There are people who, looking at divorce, which is obviously the largest area of family law, though far from the only area. There are people who stay married not because they want to stay married, but because they can't afford not to. There are people who are unintentional bigamists. They think they got divorced, but never did, and then get married again. So the family law industry needed work. And it was an area that wasn't heavily explored by legal tech. Now, there are several companies out there today that are working on it. And I think most of them are really working hard and hoping to do some great things. But when I starting with, I see 3 types of divorcing couples. There's the ones who agree to everything and just need a simple divorce. And a company like ours can make it very easy. You answer some questions, you generate the forms, you get those forms filed, and off you go. On the other extreme, there's the folks who just need to fight. They don't agree to anything. And for those folks, the system is great for them. They can spend a lot of money and they can fight for a very long time. And hopefully at some point they'll get through it. But in between, they're what I've been calling the aspirationally uncontested. They're the folks who sort of intuitively understand that almost all divorces will end in a settlement. And for far too many of those divorces, at least one of the parties, if not both of them, will end up unrepresented by the end because they've run out of money. So at divorce.com, we believe through a combination of self-help style services, limited scope representation by attorneys, access to mediators, access to algorithms to help you figure out how to divide assets, access to a co-parenting app. We have an app called Co-Parenter, which helps folks who separate with children. With those types of tools, we believe that we can turn that average $5,000 to $15,000 divorce into a $500 to $3,000 divorce.
Wow.
We think that it is going to be less painful for the divorcing couple to work together than it is to fight. We think we can save people time, money, stress, and really help, families, help kids, move on from divorce, and really be a win for everyone. So we're working very hard on that. We are very good at automating the documents today. We are bringing in mediators. We're bringing in independent lawyers. Really excited about the direction it's going.
I think that's fantastic, Ken. And from a number of conversations with you, we sort of learned to distinguish between legal tech, which you coined as tech for law firms, and the sort of justice tech. I believe you coined that term, which is legal tech, essentially for consumers, which is what you all did and pioneered really at LegalZoom. And so just wanted to share with our audience. That's the first time I heard that term. It's from a conversation and an analysis of the technology available out there from you.
We used to, we had those conversations so many times, and I always really felt that legal tech was what we were doing. It is technology to provide access to the law to the general public.
Right.
But what I have always called lawyer tech, technology for law firms, really took over the term and took over the space. So, I remember talking to you about it very early. I remember talking to a former colleague at LegalZoom about it. What if we called ourselves justice tech? And you guys ran with it, and that's awesome.
That we have. Still looking for your membership at the Justice Technology Association anytime. Well, Ken, we just have a couple minutes, but share with me and with our audience the most important thing you want to say about legal tech in general and justice tech in particular.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. It's the advice that I give to startups, and really the ethos that I bring to divorce.com is the importance of making it simple. People don't come to companies like ours out of some, libertarian ethos, and the idea that they want to do everything by themselves and not use lawyers and just want to roll up their sleeves. That's not why they come to companies like ours. They come to companies like ours to get as much help as possible. They probably don't understand the authorized practice rules or the other limitations on companies like ours when they're getting started. So what I tell companies is help your customers in every way that you can, as long as it is regulatory compliant. Pay attention to the authorized practice rules, pay attention to the fee splitting rules. The independence of attorneys is sacrosanct. But find every way you can to help your customers and make it simple, because they're coming to you in desperate need of help, and they probably can't spend what it would cost to go the traditional route. So whether through technology and automation or customer care or limited scope attorneys who want to work with you, or folks in other industries who might be able to help without practicing law, bring everything you can together, but focus on that user experience, that customer flow. Make it as easy and simple as humanly possible, because that's what your customers want.
Yeah, that's what they want. That's what they need. And it's our duty to deliver that. Really appreciate that. Fantastic. Ken, I'm going to share your website, divorce.com's website, with our users there. Where else can people find you online?
Where else can they find us online? Well, for the company, of course, we're at divorce.com.
Yeah.
The Co-Parenter app for divorcing couples with kids is available in the Apple App Store, at Google's and Google Play, I believe they call it. And it's a great app to give people, to help communicate post-divorce, discuss kids' issues. There's on-demand mediation assistance through the app to, help you with bumps along the way without having to go to court. It's really an outstanding app with a great and ever-improving interface. We're really excited about it. If you're looking to reach me personally, I am on LinkedIn. I don't know how to point people to that other than say search for Ken Friedman on LinkedIn. You can do
Yep.
Ken Friedman divorce.com and Google, I suspect, or Ken Friedman and LegalZoom would probably still get you there as well. I'm there, always happy to chat. I am on Twitter. If you follow me, I believe it is at Ken Friedman LA, because I live in Los Angeles, and you will be treated to at least 3 or 4 tweets per year. I'm a very heavy user, and it'll be great.
Yes, absolutely. Ken, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with Courtroom 5, first of all, and with our audience here. Thank you so much. We'll have you back soon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
And just
Tim.
let me say before I leave, and for the folks who haven't explored Courtroom 5, and yes, I'm biased. I'm on the advisory council, and I've been speaking with these two for, 3 years now,
It's been a
probably.
minute. Yeah.
Courtroom 5 is awesome. And it is incredibly far from the finish line. But the aspirations of a company to really help people get through litigation when they can't afford to turn to lawyers, they have nowhere else to go, when judges are getting exasperated with them because they don't really know what they're doing. If Sonia and Deborah really solve this, whether through machine learning or AI or just elbow grease, it changes the world and is awesome. And I have my tiny role, but my bigger role is just being the biggest fan of the company.
You are wonderful,
Oh.
as usual. That is not a paid sponsorship. But I want to treat it that way. Check is in the mail. Thank you so much, Ken. Always
Thank you.
appreciate you. We'll
All
talk
right.
soon.
Have a good day.
That's
That's
great.
wonderful. Yeah, always enjoy Ken. All right, Deborah. Let's see who won. We don't have a winner, I guess, anymore. Now
Yeah.
that we're pre-recording these
Right.
things, yeah, that's too bad. I still want to play the applause for anyone who submitted it. But tell us the answer to that quiz you posed last
Okay. The
episode.
previous question was a successful blank gives you more time to file an appellate brief. Number one, counterclaim. Number two, motion for extension of time. Number three, motion for continuance. Or number four, motion to dismiss. And of course, it is a motion for extension of time. That will, if you file that before the due date, then you are highly likely to get an extension of time, especially if you're pro se, to write your brief. Okay, so you want to do your applause?
Oh, can I do my
You
applause? That
said
would
you
be
wanted to
awesome.
do.
I want to do my applause. Absolutely.
Okay, so today's quiz, true or false? The trial stage is the longest part of litigation. Is that true or false? The trial stage is the longest part of litigation. All right. That's your challenge. All right.
Fantastic. All right, great. Well, I'm still hoping that we get some responses. We won't be able to announce a winner for sure, but just love to see folks chime in on those things. And again, with the true or false, it's really difficult to go wrong. You've got a 50-50 chance,
Mm.
right there. So fantastic. All right. Well, at this time, it's my pleasure to welcome onto the show Timothy M. Brown. Timothy is the CEO at Catch a Case LLC and the developer of Citizen HQ, the legal information and attorney finder app in development. Timothy, thank you so much for joining us on Who Wrote That Up for You.
Thank you for inviting me. It's really great to be here.
All right, fantastic. And so let me ask first, Timothy. Let me just share with you the thing I loved most when I ran into you was the name of your company, Catch a Case. And in some neighborhoods, we there's a quip about being willing to catch a case over
Correct.
certain outrages, right? And that struck me immediately. I just loved it. How did you come up with the name Catch a Case LLC?
Well, I always thought it was a pretty ingenuous term that was used just in our community that kind of outline the fact that, they're willing to get in trouble or that someone has already gotten in trouble. So I felt like it would be a good name to outline exactly what my company is attempting to accomplish.
Fantastic, fantastic. And so, if you would, I introduced Citizen HQ and the purposes of it, but why don't you share that in your own words? What is the app, or what are you developing there?
Yeah, so Citizen HQ is being developed to be the central place for citizens to go to find resources, legal resources, anytime they're in trouble, or if they want to stay up to date on laws as they change, as well as changes that are pending or being proposed. That type of information is really all over the internet. It really depends on which state you're in. But it's extremely important for citizens to be aware of new laws as they change. I think that it kind of goes under the radar from a perspective that people don't stay up to date on, when they do change. Additionally, the app is being designed to implement artificial intelligence to answer questions that citizens may have very easily and efficiently, so that that they don't have to sort through and all of the abundance of information that's out there.
Got it. Fantastic, fantastic. What's your background, if you would? What got you inspired about developing an app like that?
Yeah, so I have over 20 years experience in IT. I've been doing product development. I did product development for the Department of Health and Human Services, where I developed a number of programs to extend services to homeless and battered women. So after leaving Department of Health and Human Services, I found that that was something that I really enjoyed doing. When I was working on those programs, it felt as if I wasn't even working. It was, it was so inspiring for me.
Excellent, excellent. There's such a tremendous need for more legal information geared to consumers. So I'm really happy to hear about the progress of your app. Can you share the status of it? When will it be live? And also, what is your vision for it? What do you hope it does in the long run?
Absolutely. So the app will be released end of May of this 2023. The overall vision for the app is to, once it gets up and running, is to provide emergency video conference representation to citizens whenever there's a need. So if they're about to be detained, they would be able to find an attorney very quickly, efficiently, and they'd be able to represent them on the spot, provide them some direction, as well as to assist with gathering evidence and things of that nature, which is something that goes, underlooked a lot of times when something happens. You're really, anxious. You're really, nervous at the time. It's sometimes good to have someone to help you walk through what you should do, what you should say or not say. Additionally, I'd like to be able to provide a means to pay for legal services through extended pay, options. So if it's something that they could pay in 6 months or 3 months or a year, that would immediately provide a lot of service to citizens that are partially away through their way through divorce, and they just need a little bit more to be able to finish it, as well as for people that just don't have the money, but they have excellent credit and a job.
You know, most people, when they are in some sort of legal trouble or anything that might require a lawyer, really do want to work with lawyers. The reality is that the cost of accessing a lawyer, as you and I know, are just really out of reach for most people. And so I think what you're doing on the financial side there could be very important to ensuring more people get that access. I've heard you talk, Timothy, about the inability, the impact of the inability to access lawyers and therefore access the courts, and the failures of our democracy, to an extent. Could you share a bit more about that? Just what's the connection there for you?
Sure. So 85% of low income citizens that have legal issues never look to find an attorney or legal services. They just take it and let it go as it's going to go. So for me, I think that number is way too high. I think that uh, being able to provide means to locate resources quickly is something that citizens don't have currently. Whenever there's an issue, whenever there's a legal issue, there is anxious feeling that happens. You're nervous. Um, it's really hard to settle your thoughts to the point of being able to locate, the legal services that you might need. So if you're not proficient with Google searching, then you're, left with what you can find. So I feel that Citizen HQ would be a unique tool designed specifically for citizens to bring together all of the resources they would need in the case of an emergency. So I personally got a divorce years ago, and I was lucky to come across a paralegal office that was kind enough to go through the divorce with me, and they informed me on what stages I needed to have an attorney and what stages they could handle for me. And that really helped me out from a budget standpoint. I didn't waste money. I was able to only spend that money when I needed to. So I kept that thought in mind that that should be made available to a lot of people, right?
Hmm.
As if they can just have the attorney show up to represent during a financial crisis, or to negotiate with the judge, that's something that they won't listen to. That is something that would be really great.
That is fantastic. Fantastic. Timothy, I'm going to share your website with our audience here, Citizen HQ at www.mycitizenhq.com. Where else can people find you and Citizen HQ online?
Yep. So I am on LinkedIn, so they can find me there. I'm on TikTok as well as Instagram, so they can find us there
All
as
right.
well.
That is wonderful. Wonderful. We'll look for the app in May and wish you the best of luck with it. We'll stay in touch. Thank you
Okay.
so much for
Thank
Thank
joining
you,
us
you.
on Who
Timothy.
Wrote That Up for Us.
All
Thank you.
right.
Fantastic, fantastic. It's so exciting to see everything that's going on in the legal tech space, justice tech space, as it were, here. Apps for divorce, and that is, as Ken said, just a terribly expensive and far too common event that people get these protracted issues, and sometimes being involved in the litigation itself can extend the pain and just controversy there unnecessarily. So glad to see apps like that available for folks, and certainly the need for just basic legal information, easier ways to access attorneys when they are needed is something we should all look forward to.
Yeah, and I'm just very just recognizing that so many of the people that have come through the podcast who are talking about justice tech all have like almost a niche, like empathy niche. That's what I'm going to call
Yeah,
it, and
yeah,
that they understand the problems that people are going through, or they understand where they are. Because I talk to so many people in the legal industry who say, well, of course they can afford a lawyer. I mean, there are people who actually think that people can afford a lawyer,
Yeah.
And I like that the people who are actually working on the problem know that they can't.
Yeah.
That they're not just in it for I just want to make some money because but they kind of understand the problem. So
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And as Timothy said, with so many people, unable to access the system,
mhm.
you can't really have a functioning democracy in that way. So just glad to see all this good work being done.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's all we have for you in this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you all again soon. Thanks.
Are you feeling beleaguered, angry, or afraid, as if things are spinning out of control and you're powerless to stop them? It's easy to just let things slide and hope they don't get worse. But they often do get worse. The thing is, you're not powerless. Our courts belong to us, and their purpose is to give power to the powerless. Don't let your grievances pile up without redressing them. You can handle this in court. Or, if someone takes you to court, you can take them to school.